Hello, this is Krystal, and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Julia Quinn's Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. For all of those of you like me who are impatiently waiting for season 3 of Bridgerton. 3? Yes. Yes, 3. Prologue. On the 6th of April, in the year 1812, precisely 2 days before her 16th birthday, Penelope Featherington fell in love. It was, in a word, thrilling. The world shook. Her heart leaped. The moment was breathtaking. And she was able to tell herself with some satisfaction. The man in question, one Colin Bridgerton, felt precisely the same way. Oh, not the love part. He certainly didn't fall in love with her in 1812, and not in 1813, 1814, or 1815, or, oh blast, not in all the years 1816 through 1822 either. And certainly not in 1823, when he was out of the country the whole time anyway. But his earth shook, his heart leaped, and Penelope knew without a shadow of a doubt that his breath was taken away as well, for a good 10 seconds. Falling off of a horse tended to do that to a man. It happened thus. She'd been out for a walk in Hyde Park with her mother and 2 older sisters when she felt a thunderous rumbling under her feet. See above, the bit about the earth shaking. Her mother wasn't paying much attention to her. Her mother really did. So Penelope slipped away for a moment to see what was about. The rest of the Featheringtons were in rapt conversation with Viscountess Bridgerton and her daughter Daphne, who had just begun her second season in London, so they were pretending to ignore the rumbling. The Bridgertons were an important family indeed, and conversations with them were not to be ignored. As Penelope skirted around the edge of a particularly fat-trunked tree, she saw 2 riders coming her way, galloping along hell for leather, or whatever expression people like to use for fools on horseback, who cared not for their safety and well-being. Penelope felt her heart quicken. It would have been difficult to maintain a sedate pulse as a witness to such excitement, and besides, this allowed her to say that her heart leaped when she fell in love. Then, in one of those inexplicable quirks of fate, the wind picked up quite suddenly and lifted her bonnet, which, much to her mother's chagrin, she had not tied properly since the ribbon chafed under her chin, straight into the air and splat, right onto the face of one of the riders. Penelope gasped, taking her breath away, and then the man fell off his horse, landing most inelegantly in a nearby mud puddle. She rushed forward, quite without thinking, squealing something that was meant to inquire after his welfare, but that she suspected came out as nothing more than a strangled shriek. He would, of course, be furious with her, since she'd effectively knocked him off of his horse and covered him with mud. 2 things guaranteed to put any gentleman in the foulest of moods. But when he finally rose to his feet, brushing off whatever mud could be dislodged from his clothing, he didn't lash out at her. He didn't give her a stinging set down. He didn't yell. He didn't even glare. He laughed. He laughed. Penelope hadn't much experience with the laughter of men, and what little she had known had not been kind. But this man's eyes, a rather intense shade of green, were filled with mirth as he wiped a rather embarrassingly placed spot of mud off of his cheek and said, "Well, that wasn't very well done of me, was it?" And in that moment, Penelope fell in love. If you would like to know what happens next, you can check this book out on the Libby app. Please join me here next week as I read from Alan Ladd's The Book Spy. Thanks and have a great week.